right? Take the knowledge you have, go get a computer, and learn. Hello everybody, welcome to the Cheryl Technology channel. I am your host, Chris. As always, thank y'all for watching. Welcome to my channel. This is a technology channel for you, hopefully to help you get better at what you do, to help you get better at the things you do on a daily basis. It's to help you learn how to use a computer and how to make it work for you rather than being afraid. Don't be afraid, y'all. It's just a computer. Okay, with that said, let's get into this. As I said, my name is Chris. If you're new to the channel, like, comment, subscribe. And if you find something you like, let me know and I'll do more videos on it. I've done 2 already. This is the second one to a series I'm doing. So here we go. Let's get into this. Thank y'all for watching. So this one is Basics of Computing, Part 2. So this one is about the parts of a computer. The first video, we went over how to not be afraid. I wasn't going to say it, but I did. So we went over how to not be afraid. Now make sure, okay, I probably shouldn't show that logo because it'll get me in trouble. There you go. Coffee. You got to have your coffee because it's the best. Okay, y'all. So let's get into this. So basically, the first video went over how to not be afraid of a computer. Most people that I have seen in my lifetime, and believe me, I've seen a lot of people use computers, are terrified of a computer. You do not have to be terrified. It is a machine. Are you just going to let that silly little machine beat you? You shouldn't. So in this video, we're going to go over the parts. The next video after that will be the external components. Not necessarily, it will be more on the motherboard components, like for instance, the USB ports, the Ethernet, and what all of those do. So let's get into this video now. Here we go. So the first step I want to say, with computers, you need to know the basic components. You need to know, you don't really need to know the internal components per se unless you're going to build your own, but if you have a computer, you kind of need to know what things are so that you know what you're doing. You don't want to go into this blindly because most of the time, fear is a lack of knowledge. Most of the time that I've seen, that's what happens. All the people that I've ever seen that have not liked computers is because they're afraid of them. Fearful. Don't be afraid. Take that fear and throw it right out the door. Say you're not welcome here anymore. Yes, I just rhymed right then. So let's get into this. So we want to make sure that the computer you are using is useful to you. I don't want you to use a computer that is not being useful to you. That defeats the whole purpose of having a computer, right? Oh, by the way, one more thing. To let y'all know, I am recording this on a Linux machine. The first time ever. First time ever, OBS, Zorin OS. Check it out. It's a good OS. I'll put a link to it in the description. And we're going to see if this turns out right because I don't know. Anyway, let's get into this. Okay, so you have to have peripherals, peripherals are this, input devices. So this, for instance, is an input device. It's taking my image and sending it back into the computer. I'm capturing the image from OBS. That's my program that I use, is OBS. That's the program I use to record. So I'm capturing this. Now, we have this. A keyboard, that's an input device. A mouse, that's an input device. All these things are input devices. Think of a video game, for instance, y'all. A video game. When you're playing your video game, okay, you have a controller for the Xbox, a mouse and keyboard for the computer. Those are your input devices. Now, what do? You mash the keys and you move the mouse around like this, right? You do those things, right, so that you can get an output. What is the output for? It may be shooting somebody on a server somewhere. See, that's the point of a computer, the computer is meant to assist humans, right? It's meant to assist us. But it does that through the use of input and then output. Basically, everything in the world is based on input and output, right? It's simple. Now, I want to get to the first point. Let's go to the first point. Let's go, let's go, let's go. Let's keep it moving, y'all. Okay, so the first one, you need to start at the main board. Now, I'm going to show you, you see this list of all these things, all input devices. These are not parts of a computer. No. These are pieces that attach to the computer. They are not parts of the computer. The parts of the computer are the parts that are central to making it run, not necessarily outputting data. The output comes later, right? Okay, so first, we'll start with the motherboard right here. See? Motherboard. The motherboard is the mama to everything else. So that's what's called the motherboard. It's the mama to the CPU, Central Processing Unit. We'll get into that in a minute. As a matter of fact, let's go into it. That's what the motherboard does. Right here, you can see it. The motherboard is where all electronic components and peripherals of the computer are connected in order to communicate. Check it right here. Communicate together towards the functioning of the computer. Inputs, outputs, y'all. Inputs and outputs. Now, and you see the ROM, CPU, RAM. CPU. The CPU is the logical brain of this computer, right? You have a brain, right? It is the brain of your computer. Your brain controls everything, right? It processes information. Your eyes take things in the front, and then it processes out. It processes through your optic nerve into your brain, and then your brain processes the data. That's the truth. That's exactly the way it works. So back to what we were talking about. So the CPU I'm not going to get into all the details because this is a broad overview. The CPU is the central processing unit. It's the brain. You have the mother and the brain. So now let's scroll down a little further. Now you have the GPU, okay? What do you think the GPU stands for? Graphics Processing Unit. It handles all the output. So listen, the graphics processor does one thing and one thing only. It processes graphical information that is processed by the CPU and is sent to the GPU to be outputted to the display. That's what a GPU does. Simple, huh? Pretty simple. Sounds fancy, but it's not. Okay, you got fans, but I'm not even going, a fan just moves air. That's all a fan does. Sound card. Okay, a sound card outputs sound. Connects to the motherboard, because everything connects to the motherboard. Outputs sound. That's what it does. That's the only thing it does. Now, the motherboard contains everything that you need. Memory, okay, RAM, right here. See it for core system files and configurations so it can access it quickly. That's what RAM is for. Now, if you unplug your computer, that RAM will dump. Let's move on, y'all. Okay, read-only memory. I mean, this is like really, really old. We don't want to go back that far. Now, storage. Storage is it's a good place to be because storage is interesting because with storage, you are basically taking someplace. Okay, so remember how I said that on the processor, the information is processed, right? That's what a CPU does. It processes information. Now, that processing of information has to be stored somewhere else. So that's called an application. The applications, which would be like OBS Studio, your video games. It would be your whatever else you got going on, Adobe Photoshop, anything like that. Another cup of coffee, another drink of coffee. Let's go. Let's keep moving on. So that's what storage does. Now there are several types of storage, not all of which I'm going to go over two main types right now. An SSD, or right here, SSD stands for solid state drive. Right here. You can see it right here, solid state drive. Now, why do you think it's called solid state? Because it doesn't move. That's what they mean by solid state. It doesn't move. It is a flash only. It's like your RAM, kind of. It's sort of like that. It goes to a location rather than spinning and finding the right place on the disk. It reads from a memory location, which is also makes them very reliable. Trust me on that one. And they're much, much faster because they don't have to spin up. Now, a standard hard drive, okay, there's many types of attachment media that you can attach to a hard drive, but most of it is for server grade stuff. SATA is the main one that's used for like standard hard drives, but I would recommend SSDs. I would not, unless you're storing like huge amounts of data like I am, I would not even recommend these. They're cheaper, but they are, I have a NAS. Maybe someday I'll do a review on my NAS. But I have a NAS made by QNAP. I have four terabyte drives. That's 16 terabytes. I've run them in a RAID 6. That RAID 6 gives me about 6.5 terabytes of storage, according to QNAP anyway. So basically that's what that is. Now, let's move on. Okay, you have a CD drive, right? That, nobody uses those stupid things anymore. I mean, they use a USB flash drive. And these are kind of not, these are external components that you attach. I would not call these parts. Power supply. The power supply is one of the most important because the power supply, the cleaner the output on that power supply is, the longer that computer will last. That is a fact. There was a case, I think, by either Linus or Steve from Gamers Nexus, who had, I think it was Gamers Nexus, who had some power supplies that caught on fire. Caught on fire. Well, it ruined like an $1,800 graphics card. That's why a power supply is so important. Corsair, I like Corsair. I'm not paid by them, disclaimer. I like Corsair power supplies. They're very good, they're reliable, they're clean. I've never had trouble with any of them. Now, moving on. Okay, we're not even going to go into that. Printer, scanner. Okay, so basically that's part one. Part two. This part, I'm going to just go through all the pieces with you. So I have my phone right here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to throw these in editing when I edit. And I'm going to throw all these pictures in. So the first picture we have is of a fan. And this was out of a server that I have, a miniature server, a HP ProLiant, a little bitty one. It's about yay tall, about that wide, little bitty thing. And it's got a hard drive in it. I've got a Western Digital Blue in it. I took the motherboard out. I took the RAM out. So I'm just going to narrate to you. The motherboard, RAM, power supply. I mean, all of these things are meant to aid you in okay, so think about this, y'all. When you create something, how do you create it? It first starts up here, right? But you have to have some medium to transfer that thought into an action, into a viable, touchable thing. That is the benefit of having a computer. That is the benefit. See, think about this. Let's say that there's some of you out there who are aspiring to be, who knows? I don't know what you're aspiring to be, but you're aspiring to be something. You cannot accomplish that unless you have some way to take the information up here and filter it out. That's the whole point, man. We create because we love to create. I love to create videos. I love to create things. I love to do things. I love music. I love to play guitar. There's a ton of plethora of things I like to do. Tomorrow I'm going on vacation. That's why this video is getting done tonight. I'm doing it tonight. And so I want y'all to really think about, what do you want to do with your life? Right? You have this ability to create something. Create it. Work at it. You have to work at something to get better. You have to work at something to get better. Take the essence of what you know up here and work on it. That's my advice to y'all. Now, with all of this said, the conclusion to this video is this. Well, there's several things, but this is one of them. I know it's been a long video, y'all. I'm so sorry that it's been so long. It's 15 minutes already. Well, 15 something. I'm going to cut some of it out, but 15 minutes. The thing I want to leave with you, remember everything I said. If you have a vision, a computer can help you to accomplish that vision. I took a computer and I make very good money right now. I make very good money. I took all of the knowledge and I learned and I learned and I learned until I got good enough at it that I could maintain it and fix problems quickly. Work at your craft, people. Work at it. Now, go get a computer and learn. That's the best way to learn, y'all. Go get a computer. I encourage you to go get one. And if my channel gets big enough, maybe I'll start giving them away. I don't know. Thank y'all for watching. This is your host, Chris, signing off. Everybody, I love all of y'all. Be at peace, and may the Lord bless each and every step you take. And until the next video, y'all, thank you for watching. Peace!